entities that should be common in all of the architectural models. Okay. Today we are going to be seeing the fundamental model. I told you that this is the one which is the formal description of the properties that is a common in all architectural models. Okay, so what are things it's going to be covered? So it is going to be covered what are the main entities in the system that we are going to be designing the distributed system. What are the main components are required? What are the main entities are required? Okay, and another one is how the components are going to be interacted together. Okay, the first thing is what are the entities that's going to be chosen here for designing the distributed system. Second one is how the components are going to be interact together, interact with each other. Okay. Next one is the characteristics. What are the characteristics that is going to be affect the individual and the collective behavior components of the system? Okay, what are the characteristics is going to be affected? The next one is what is the purpose of fundamental model? Okay, so we'll see one by one what are the four topics that we are going to be covered in this fundamental model. So in this fundamental model, we are going to be covered three models, that is interaction model, behavior model, and next one is the security model. So what are the things? These models are going to be addressed. These models are addressing the time synchronization, message delays, failures, security issues, so and so on. Okay. So first, what is interaction model? This deals with the performance and the difficulty of setting of the time limits in the distributed system. Next one is failure model. This is a specification of the faults that can be exhibited by the process. Then what about the security model? It discusses the possible threats to processes and the communication. Okay, so these are the three models that we are going to see in the fundamental model. Before going to see the three models, first of all, we should know what is the purpose of this fundamental model. The first thing is it makes explicit all the relevant assumptions about the system that we are going to be using. The next one is it makes a generalization, that is, it uses a general purpose algorithm concerning what is possible or what is impossible with given assumptions. Okay, so this is the one that this is the purpose of the fundamental model. Okay, now we'll see about the interaction model. In this model, the computation occurs within the processes. Okay. That means it's going to be tell about the behavior and the state of the distributed system. The main thing of this interaction model is the processes interact. Okay. So the name itself, we can tell that the processes or the component, how they are going to interact with each other by passing messages to achieve the communication and coordination between the processes. And also, in this interaction model, we have two significant factors that's going to be affect the interaction process in the distributed system. One is communication performance and another is global notion of time. These two are the factors of a network. How it is going to be measure the performance of the characteristics over the network? Okay, by using latency, bandwidth, and jitter. Okay, by using the bandwidth, latency, and jitter. Okay. First one, see latency. A delay between the start of a message transmission from one process to the beginning of the reception by the another. Okay. This is what latency. Bandwidth is the one, the total amount of information that can be transmitted over the in a given time, Okay. So the first one is latency, and second one is bandwidth, and the bandwidth is nothing but the total amount of information that can be transmitted over in a time period. Okay. The communication channel using the same network, how to share the available bandwidth. Next one is jitter. Jitter is the one, the variations in the time taken to deliver the series of messages. It is very relevant to the multimedia data. The next one is global notion of time. Global notion of time. Okay. Each computer in a distributed system has its own internal clock, which can be used by the local process to obtain the value of the current time. Any two processes running on the different computers can associate with the timestamp over their events. Okay. So we can say that, see, in a lab, in a lab also, suppose if we are having 50 to 60 systems in a lab, okay. So this system timing is 10:50, and this system time is also 10:50, and this one is 10:06, or this one is 10:09. Some deviations in the time. Even if these two systems are having the same time, there will be in the seconds, some difference will be there in the seconds. That is what it tells. Each computer in the distributed system has its own internal clock. Okay. And how they are, if these two wants to communicate each other, okay, but both are having the different timings, how it will be communicate each other with the help of the timestamp. With the help of the timestamp, these two systems can be compared. Okay. However, if two processes read their clocks at the same time, their local clocks may supply different time because the computer clock drifts from the perfect time. Even if the clocks on all the computers in the distributed system are set to the same time, sometimes if we are setting all the systems in the distributed system set with the same time, initially their clocks would even vary quite significantly unless the connections are up. Okay, there are several techniques to correct the timings on the computer clock. That we can say one technique in that correcting the timings on the computer clocks is GPS, Global Positioning Systems. That means in olden days we don't have a GPS or mobile phones. Now we are having the GPS in our mobile phones. So with the help of the GPS, we can get the same timings in all. Our entire. Even if 5 to 10 members are there, okay, just check the timings on the mobile phone with the help of the GPS. We all are having the same time. The mobile phone we have all receive the same timings. Okay, with the help of the GPS. So this is one of the techniques that is going to be synchronize the times in all the systems in the distributed system. Which is going to be connected in the distributed system. Next we'll see the variations of the interaction. In a distributed system, it is hard to set the time limits on the time taken for the process execution. Not only process execution, it is hard to set the time limits on the message delivery, or even you can say that in the clock drift also. So there are two models that is going to be based on the time. One is synchronous model and another one is asynchronous model. Now we'll see one by one what is synchronous model and what is asynchronous. First we'll see about the synchronous distributed system. This is practically hard to achieve in the reality. Why? Because in the synchronous distributed system, we have a time boundary. Okay, we have a minimum boundary and the maximum boundary. Okay, for example, this is one. This is one process P, and this is process Q. Okay, so this process P wants to send one message to process Q, but they are fixing the timing. Okay, that information needs to be reached to that person in between 10:05 to 10:10. Okay, that means this is a minimum boundary and this is the maximum boundary. Okay, so within this time period, the message needs to be reached to the process queue. Okay, so in the distributed system, it is somewhat hard to achieve in the real-time applications. Why? Because sometimes because of network delay, that message couldn't reach the process queue within the particular period of time. Okay, so in the synchronous distributed system, the time taken to execute the step of process has known only with the help of the lower and the upper bound. Okay, each message transmitted over the channel is received within a known bounded time only. Okay, each process has a local clock whose drift rate from the real time has known as the bound. Okay, next one comes to the asynchronous model. Asynchronous model of distributed system. Here, what is the advantage it's going to be carry over from the synchronous distributed system is, here there is no bounds. That means there is no minimum boundary or maximum boundary, there is no upper bound or lower. Okay, there is no boundary at all. Process execution speeds, message transmission delays, and there is no clock drift rate also. Okay, so instead of we don't have any time boundary, obviously it will be the speed will be speed of the system will be even. Suppose if it is the network speed is low, okay, the person may receive the message with a delay. Anyway, the message is going to be reached the person, right? Why? Because there is no time limit. So it may be if I send any message to you, okay, it may take within 10 minutes or even after half an hour or within 1 hour. That message anyway it's going to be reached you with a delay. Okay, that is the difference between the synchronous model and the asynchronous model. So here the event ordering is a major concern in the distributed system. So this is a real-time ordering event. Okay, so we'll see this example. So that X, Y, Z or the three persons are going to be send the mail to the person A. Okay, so what is the message that's going to be sent? The first X is going to be send the message meeting. Okay, and Y want to send the meeting re-meeting. Message is re-meeting, and Z also is going to be send the message re-meeting. So three messages. Okay, the three persons are sending three messages to the person A. Okay, now see how it is receiving. The person A is receiving the message. Okay, see here, the first message is X only sending. Okay, and after that the person Y is sending. So the order is X, Y, Z. This is the order of sending the message to the person A. But the A receives a message M3 first, and then after it is followed by M1, and then after it is M2. That means A receives a message in the wrong order. Okay, because of time delay. Okay, because of network issue, the person is receiving the message in the wrong order. So what to do? What to do with this? How to overcome this? That means we need to implement the time stamping over. Okay, if you attach the timestamp or use some logical timestamps, then you can overcome this issue. Okay, that is what they are telling. Always you should include the timestamps whenever they are sending. So with the help of the timestamps, for example, if this person, that is X, is sending the timestamps attached with it, at what time he is sending the message, for example 10:05. Okay, so this person Y is sending the message at 10:06, and Z also 10:07. The messages M1, M2, M3 carry their time T1, T2, T3, and that can be displayed with a different order. So with the help of this timestamp T1, T2, T3, the person can understand that this is the third message, and this is the first message, and this is the second message. So with the help of the timestamp, they can make even though the message that the person A receives in wrong order, they can reorder it as per the timestamps. Okay, this is one solution for getting the message in the event order. See here. So this is the person Z message first and then after X and it's followed by Y. Okay, so this is in the wrong order. So the person can reorder it as per the time stage. Okay. Next, now we'll see the second model, that is a failure one. Okay. In a distributed system, both processes and the communication channels may fail. Why they are failed? That is, they may depart from what is considered to be correct or desirable in the behavior. The following are the common types of failures. One is omission failures, next one is arbitrary Byzantine failures, next one is the timing failure. What do you mean by the omission failure? The name, omission itself, you can understand. What is the synonym of the word omission? That means dropping. Omission means just the dropping of message. So message that he is sending to Q. Okay, the message that is dropped somewhere in between. How it is dropped? Okay, it may be the process omission failure or channel failure, communication channel failure. Okay, so now we'll see the omission failures, how it is going to be occur. It is going to be occur due to either communication link failures or the process failure. Omission failures, I told you that it is nothing but the dropping of message in between. Before reaching to the receiver, the message is going to be dropping. Okay, how it is going to be dropped? It will be either with the help of the process failure or communication failure. Okay, with the help of these two failures, the message is not reaching the receiver. Somewhat it is dropped in between. Okay. What is the process omission failure? The process omission failure, it occurs due to the process crash or the execution of the process could not continue. That means either somewhere the process crashes. Crash, you know, right? What happened? Crashes means what? Something it damages in between. Okay. Or the execution of the process could be failed or could not continue. Okay. Or could not continue. Because of the process crash, the execution of the process could not continue. Okay, fine. So this is detected. How it is going to be detected? I am telling that the process failure in between. How I am going to be detect that one? With the help of the timers. Okay, that means the sender sends a message now. You are going to be send one message to your phone. Okay, so this is one person A and this is person B. Okay, he wants to send one message. Okay, so he sent at 9:05 and he's telling that I sent the message to you. Okay, fine. He's waiting up to 10, 11 or 12 or 13 or one day. Still the person did not receive the message. Okay, so because of the timeouts, okay, one day still the person didn't receive the message. Then the person can decide that the process may failure. That's what the person didn't receive the message. Okay, this is what we can detect it with the help of the timeout. Okay, then a fixed period of time is fixed. The fixed period of time is fixed for all the methods to complete its execution. Yes, the timeouts means we can say that asynchronous is nothing but we are using the bounds, right? Like that, we need to fix some time. Within the time period, the message should reach the receiver. Okay, in between any failure occurs. Then how we can, so within that particular period of time, the person is not receiving the message means we can tell that the message, the process failures in between. Okay, so it is in the case of the synchronous. Okay, if you go for the asynchronous system, there is no boundary. Okay, then how it will be indicated? In asynchronous system, a timeout can indicate only that the process is not responding. Okay, so this is what we need. If it is in a synchronous system, we can detect it with the help of the timeouts. If it is an asynchronous system, you can tell that with the process discontinue. That means you are not getting any response. Then you can decide it in the asynchronous system, there is a process failure. Okay. The process crash is called, you can call it as a fail stop. If other process can detect certainly that the process can be crashed. That is what fail stop. Okay. Next we can see the communication omission failure. Here we have three types. One is send omission, next one is receive omission, and the third one is channel omission. The communication failure, how we can identify or detect it. Okay, this occurs when the messages are dropped between the sender and the receiver. Okay, the message can be lost in the sender buffer, receiver buffer, or even in the communication channel. I'll show you one diagram. This is a sender process. This is a sender process, and this is a receiver process. Okay, here we have a buffer, two buffers. One is this is an outgoing message buffer, and this is incoming message buffer. Okay, we have a two buffers in sender side as well as the receiver side. Okay, and this is a communication channel. Now we can detect this failure, communication failure, either in case of send omission failure or receive omission failure or channel omission failure. Only with these cases only we can detect this failure. Okay, how you can say that is a send omission failure? Send omission failure is a means the last of messages between the sending process and the outgoing message buffer. That means the sender is sending the message continuously to the buffer. Okay, but it is not reaching the outgoing buffer. Okay, you see, we people previously, before using the WhatsApp, we are using only the message. In that, if I am sending 5 messages, right, how it will be reaches one by one to you? It will be some buffer will be. The same thing here we have a buffer. So the last of messages between the sending process and the outgoing message buffer. That means the sender is sending the message, but in the buffer, that outgoing message buffer, okay, it is not received. So there is a last in between these two. This one we can call it as a send omission failure. Okay. Now the next one is receive omission failure. Here. So this will be the loss of messages in between the incoming message buffer and the receiver. We are losing the information in between the receive message buffer and the receiver. That means here, that receive message buffer, the messages are full. It is receiving the message, but the receiver couldn't see the message. Okay, this one we can call it as a receive omission buffer. That means a loss of messages between the incoming message buffer and the receiving buffer. Next, what is a channel omission buffer? That means the loss of messages in a channel. We are losing the message in this channel, in between. We are losing some message. This one we can call it as a channel omission failure. So these are the 3 omission failures that we are going to see in the communication omission failure. Next one is, we'll see some omission and the arbitrary failures. The first one is fail stop. Class of failure is what? The class of failure is fail stop. Yeah, I told you that fail stop. What do you mean by fail stop? It will be occur in the omission failure. Okay, where it affects the process only. Okay, if it affects the process, how we can detect it? How we can detect it? With the help of the process halts or remains halted, the other process may detect this. Okay, that means we lost the message. How we can detect it? With help of another process. Okay, next one is crash. Crash also affects the process only. Here also it's going to be, here also the process are going to be halted, but the other process may not able to detect this message. That is the difference between the first one and the second. Crashes means other process cannot be detected. Okay, but if it is a fail stop, the other process may detect it. Okay, something is happening between. Okay, next one is omission failure. That will affect the channel, I told you. And what are the 3 types of omission failure? This is channel, send omission, receive omission failure. Okay, so already I told you that this channel omission failure will be affect the channel only. Okay, but the receive omission and the send omission will affect the process. Okay. Okay, this one only I explained in the previous slide. What is the omission failure, send omission failure, and the receive omission failure. Next one is arbitrary or Byzantine. This will affect both process side as well as the channel side. Okay. That means if it is a process, either a process or the channel, okay, how we can detect this one? We can detect it with the help of the other processes only, okay, and we may stop this process in between. There is a chance of stopping the process. Okay, the other process detected that, okay, something is failed in between the sender and the receiver. Okay, then the sender can stop the sending the message once it's detected. Okay, this is what arbitrary or Byzantine failure. What am I saying? What are these? And this one is the timing failures. Timing failures in the sense how we can detect the timing failures. I told you in the beginning itself. Timing failures can be detected with the help of two things. If it is a synchronous process, okay, how to detect the timing failures? We have a boundary, upper bound and the lower bound. So within that time period, the receiver is not receiving the message, then we can say that there will be the failure in the process. Okay, if it is asynchronous system, how I can detect it? Okay, that means the process is not, the process not giving any answer. We are waiting for a long time. Still we are not receiving any message. Okay, that means the process is not responding properly. Then we can detect it that there is a timing failure in the asynchronous method. Okay. Here we have three classes of failures. One is clock and performance. Okay. The first one is it is going to be affect only the process. The clock is always it will be affect the process. Okay. One how it is going to be described with the help of the boundary. With the help of the timing, that is the boundary we are going to. Next one is performance. Performance, it will be affect both process and the channel. Okay, if it is a process, we can say that in between the interval of the time boundary or in between the time period, the message is not received. Then we can say it is a time boundary. That is a process. Next, if it is not even responding for the long time, the process is not responding for the long time, then we can say that it affects the channel. Okay, this is what timing failure. Next one is masking failure. What do you mean by the masking failure? Okay, it's going to be the service masks a failure. That is, it's going to be covered. Masking in the sense we can say that in the generally we can say it is a covering something. Okay, that means it's hiding. Okay, hiding something. That is either by hiding it altogether or by converting into a more acceptable type of failure. Okay, that is a service mask of a failure. Either it is going to be hide only the some portion which is going to be affected, or it will be cover the, or it will be hide the entire portion of the process or channel. Next. Here there is a two terms which is going to be tell about the reliable communication. One is validity and another one is integrity. First one is the masking failure. Okay, what is mean by the masking failure? It's going to be hide some portion of the parts which is going to be filled. So each component in the distributed system is generally constructed from the collection of other components. Yes, that we all know. Like one component, there is a relationship between the with the another component. Okay, fine. It is always possible to construct the reliable services from the components that exist in the software. What do you mean by the reliable communication? Without any interrupt or without any failure, the message needs to be transmitted from sender to the receiver. That is what reliable communication. Okay. So that is what they are by hiding the mask of a failure. Okay. So it's going to be provide reliable communications. Okay. The knowledge of the failure characteristics of the component that can be enable a new services to design the mask of the failure of the components on which it depends. The first one, the two terms which is going to be provide the reliable communication. One is the validity, another one is the integrity. What do you mean by validity? Validity is the one, the message in the outgoing buffer is eventually delivered to the incoming buffer. I told you that what is outgoing buffer and the incoming buffer without any delay. The message from the outgoing buffer to the incoming buffer needs to be transferred. That is what validity. The next one is integrity. The message received is identical to one set. There is no message or delivered twice. Within one attempt itself, the message needs to be delivered from sender to the receiver. That is what comes under the integrity. First one is validity. That means there will be the from outgoing message buffer to the incoming message buffer, there should not be any delay. Okay, whatever message is going to be sent from the outgoing message buffer, it should reach the incoming message buffer. The next one is integrity. Integrity is the sense no message should be delivered twice. Okay, within one attempt the message should be reached from sender to the receiver. The third one is security model. Okay. In the second topic itself, I explained clearly what is the security model. Anyway, we'll see again what are the things that is going to be covered in the security model. First one is access rights. Always the access rights is very, very important. Okay, what do you mean by access rights? Access rights in the sense the unauthorized person. It's not for unauthorized person, it is even the authorized person. The server should give the access right. Whether the server is going to be read the message, the authorized person is going to be read the message or update it or write anything on that, or they are going to be delete any message. Some access rights that we need to be given to the authorized person. Okay.
10 years ago, mobile viruses were nothing more than harmless yet annoying pranks. But soon these small irritants grew into real pains. They found out how to steal contacts and infect and block phones. As times changed, viruses figured out how to organize mobile devices into remote-controlled botnets that launch internet attacks or send spam and premium-rate messages. Money is now the top prize. Viruses get onto your phone, break into mobile banking applications, and hack e-wallets. Beware, mobile phishing is the malicious trend of the year. Fake login pages steal passwords to your online bank account. And if that wasn't enough, ransomware appears. They block your phone and demand money to unlock it. What's next? Your online bank account? Are you sure your money is still safe? It's time to think about protection for your
Next one is principle of the principle of the security model is that we need to be possess the access rights either in the user side or the process side. So this is the client and this is server side. Okay, see here also they have some principle. They are using the principle in both client side and the server side. Okay, the client is going to be first invoke the server. Okay, some request. It is invoking the server side with request. Okay, before entering into the accessing the object, the client before entering to access the objects in the server side. Okay, it is checking the access rights too. Okay, whether the particular client is having the access of reading the content or writing or updating anything. Okay, so before it's going to be access the objects, it's going to check the access rights. Okay, once it is checked, then the result is sent back to the user through the network. This is what security wants. The first one, the server manages the collection of objects, and the behalf of some user is going to be check the access rights. Whenever the client is requesting any service from the server side, okay, the server needs to check the access rights of the particular client. Okay, once it is verified, then the server needs to be send the result back to the client. Next we'll see the securing process and the they are intra-agent. The first one is threads to the processes, second one is server, and the third one is client, and the fourth one is threads to the communication channel, and the last one is defeating the security threats. So we'll see one by one now. First one is threads to process. What do you mean by threads to process? A process that is designed to handle the incoming request may receiving a message from any process in the distributed system. Okay, it cannot necessarily determine the identity of the sender. This lack of reliable knowledge of the source of the message is a threat on the correct functioning of both server as well as the client. The next one is the server. What do you mean by server? What is the securing process over the server? I told you that the process, the server side as well as the client side, they need to be user principal. Okay, that means they need to be checked the access. Server side, they are going to be checked the access rights. Okay, that it's going to be the server identity with the help without the reliable knowledge of the server's identity, the server cannot tell that whether to perform the operations or to reject, whether the particular client needs to be performed or it's going to be rejected. Okay, that is what the server side. Okay, what should be on the client side? The client side, what it's going to be do? The client side, when the client receives the result of an invocation from the server, it cannot necessarily tell whether the source of the result message is from the intended server or from an enemy. The client side also we need to be checking whether it's going to be received from the particular server or it's going to be the client receives a message from the enemy. So for that, it is going to be checked that the acknowledgement, that is the user's mailbox, is going to be checked whether it is a particular server or it is from some other enemy. Even you can say that we can see one example in our mailbox also, we have a spam. What is a spam message? In that spam message, whatever mail we are getting, it will say whether we need to be given acknowledgement whether it is a we are going to be receive this any other message from the particular person hereafter, that we are going to be allowing in the inbox or not. Okay, that we need to be tell whether the person is an authorized person or not. If you are not giving an authorized guys, then always the person, the particular person, whoever is hereafter, whatever the message mail he is sending, that will be posted to spam. Okay, that is what we need to be checked. Next one is thread to the communication channel. Okay, what is the thread over the communication channel? Okay, we have sometimes we have an enemy in between. Enemy in between the sender and the receiver, or we can say that client and the server. Okay, so in between we have an enemy. What the enemy can do in between the client and the server? That means the person can modify the message or delete some portion of the message. Okay, for example, M is the original message the sender is sending. Okay, the enemy can modify the message and send the messages M dash to the receiver. That is, it's not an original message. He modified the message and send back to the receiver. Okay, so that is that we need to be take care of the communication channel. Okay, then next one is defeating the security threats. Now you can say how we can defeat the security threats. We are telling that these are all the threats is going to be happening. Okay, fine. Then how to defeat it? With the help of encryption. This also explained in the previous video. What is encryption? What is decryption? What are the algorithms they are using in the information security? I explained this also. So with the help of the encryption and authentication, with the help of these two, okay, we can defeat the security threats. But first one is what? Denial of service. This is also explained in the previous video. That is a third chapter. The architectural model, I explained the denial of service. So this is like nothing like the person who is in between. Okay, that person is going to be, actually this is the original message actually the person received. Okay, the original message has to be replaced with some other content or delete some portion, and that should be sent to the receiver. Okay, so this is what denial of service attack we can say, and I gave an example also that Twitter it was stopped for 1 hour in the August 2001 because of the denial of service attack. Okay, it stopped for 1 hour. Okay, that means the service stopped in the Twitter for 1 hour because of the denial of service attack. Okay. Next one is Trojan has attachments virus. Mobile code has to be defeated with this type of viruses. That is, the person who is sending the viruses along with the mobile code to the client. These are the another possibilities of attack from the enemy. So this is one I explained, that enemy is in between. He is modifying the message and send the modified message to the process. And these are the defeating security threats. The first one is encryption. Encryption in the sense we are using the cryptography. That is in the information technology, information security subjects you will be studying in the final year. Okay, here we have more algorithms to secure the messages. That is AES, DES, RSA. These are all the security messages we have, and authentication of the message sender. Okay, authentications we need to be secure. Okay, always we need to check the authentication of the sender. Okay, then we need to provide the secure channels. How we need to be secure? Give the secure channels by using the secure socket. By introducing the secure socket layer, we need to be secure the channel. Okay. The worst case assumptions during the design. Okay. With the assumption, always, whenever we are designing the distributed system, with the assumptions we can design with the help of the security thing. That is, in case of encryption, authentication, and providing the secure channels by using the secure socket layer. This is all we need to do with the beginning itself while designing the distributed system. These are all assumptions. This is a secure channel that is going to be provided between the sender and the receiver or client as well as the server. Okay, so in this, we are providing the secure channel with the help of the encryption, authentication, and the secure socket layer. Okay, so these are the things which providing the secure channels over the process sender and the receiver.
A distributed denial of service, or DDoS, is a type of attack that hampers or completely prevents users from accessing your website. This can provide a bad visitor experience and even damage your business's reputation. A DDoS attack works by essentially overloading the system, making it difficult for your website to load. These attacks send multiple requests with the aim of exceeding the website's capacity to handle multiple requests, thereby crashing the website. The impact of a DDoS attack can last for days or even weeks. The threat is especially severe to e-commerce websites, which can completely prevent customers from purchasing products or receiving assistance. Any company, large or small, can be affected by a DDoS attack, but the most likely targets are IT, telecom, financial, e-commerce, and government organizations. The figures vary, but businesses can lose up to $20,000 an hour from a DDoS attack. In order to send an extremely large number of requests to the targeted network, the cybercriminal will often establish a zombie network of computers and other devices that have been infected. This includes any devices connected to the internet as part of IoT, such as webcams or even microwaves and other kitchen appliances that have been infected. Because the cybercriminal has control over the actions of every infected computer in the zombie network, the sheer scale of the attack can be overwhelming for the victim's web resources. Network resources, such as web servers, have a limit to the number of requests that they can service simultaneously. Whenever the number of requests exceeds the network's capacity, the level of service can suffer in the following ways. Either the response to requests will be much slower than normal, or some, if not all, users' requests may be totally ignored. Unfortunately, it's easier than ever to launch a DDoS attack because of their simplicity. A number of parties might be behind the attack, from rival companies attempting to discredit your business to professional cybercriminals. Usually, the DDoS attack's ultimate aim is a total denial of service, preventing users from accessing the targeted site. Even if users can access the site, it might be so slow that they eventually leave out of frustration. The attacker may also request payment for stopping the attack. Sometimes, a DDoS attack might be used as a smokescreen to steal sensitive data. There are three main ways to protect against DDoS attacks. First, you can install special appliances in the company's information infrastructure. Second, you can leverage security capabilities provided by your company's ISP. The third and most effective protection is to use an anti-DDoS service provider to sort safe traffic from DDoS requests. All of these methods follow the same principle of filtering out junk traffic created by cybercriminals.
Going to give the summary of this today's session. That is, we covered a second chapter of system model, that is a fundamental model. The fundamental model are the concerned with the formal description of the properties that are commonly applied to all the architectural models. It's going to be addressed with the three types of model. One is interaction model, and next is a failure model, and next one is a secure model. Interaction model, that's going to be deal with the performance of the difficulty of setting the time limits in the distributed system. Failure model is the one which is going to be tell about the specification of the fault that can be executed by the process and the channels. So secure model, it discusses the possible threats to process